Hello, Fawn here with Ikonart, and today I'm going to be showing you how to take a recipe and convert it into an SVG so that you can use it with your Ikonart stencils. I'm going to be using 3 different free online websites to do this, and it's pretty easy. So it is going to depend on what your recipe looks like originally. So the one I'm working with today, Edie sent me this. So this is what Edie sent me. She has a PDF, and as you can see, it's not super dark, but it is all on a white background. So she did have this person write out this recipe on a white piece of paper, which is ideal. Of course, you're not always going to have that. You might have the recipe on an old recipe card. This process will change depending on what kind of recipe you have, but this is what we're working with today. So the first thing I want to do is actually change the PDF to a JPEG. In order to do that, I'm just using this PDF to JPEG website. I just Googled PDF to JPEG, and this is the site that came up. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to choose my file, and here it is on my desktop, my PDF. And this website will automatically convert your PDF to a JPEG. So I'm just going to do that. And if you already have a JPEG or an image of your recipe, you can just skip this step. And once it is converted, I will just download it. All right, so now I have the JPEG. I'm done with that website. So the next step is to convert my JPEG into vector art. So in order to get this to be vector art or line art, I'm going to be using picsvg.com, and all I'm going to do is upload that JPEG that I just created. So let me select that JPEG, and it'll upload that and it'll convert it to an SVG. And you're a little bit limited with this free tracer. This is kind of like an image tracer, and you're a little bit limited, but they do have a few settings here. So as you can see right now, this doesn't look great over here. So I am actually going to go to Details Strong to give me more details. And immediately that looks better. So that looks pretty good. You can play around with these different settings over here. They'll each give kind of like a different result. So it'll depend on your artwork, which one really makes the most sense. Ooh, that one looks really good. That might be the one, Edge 3. Yeah, I think that one is going to be the one. Yes. All right, Edge 3 to me looked like it had the most detail and it looks the most similar to me. So all you're gonna do then is download your SVG. Super easy. All right, so I'm done with that. So now it's line art, which means it's 100% black. So if you look at the original PDF, this is the original. You can see it's kind of like all grayscale and jaggedy, and this would be really hard to make a stencil out of if you just printed this on its own. So that's why I like to convert it to vector artwork and make it really 100% black, fills in all these areas that are kind of not really filled in and are more grayscale, aren't really 100% black. You could try just printing this and making a stencil out of it, but it probably would not wash out very well, and you'd probably have a lot of difficulties with it. So that's why we're doing it this other method. All right, so once you have your free SVG, then I like to just open it up in my graphics editor to print it. So I'm using Vectr. It's a free online graphics editor, and we do have an intro tutorial to this. I'll link that down below. But basically, you can do this right in a web browser. You don't have to download any programs or anything, and you just create your free account and log in. And then I am going to, let's see. So I'm going to start a new file here, a new artwork, and I'm going to be printing this on 8.5 by 11. Create. The nice thing too about making it vector artwork is you can scale it any size you want, and it's not going to lose quality the way an image or a JPEG does. So if you want to do a large cutting board with this, you can scale it to be really big. If you want to do it smaller on a tea towel, that works too. You really have more options once you make your artwork SVG. And what's great about this free Vectr program is that it's super easy to use, but it still allows you to resize, adjust, and print your artwork. So let's open that SVG file that we just created. It's in my downloads folder. We'll just open that. And that came in really big, so let me just zoom out here and scale it down a little bit. All right, let's get zoomed back in. All right, so as you can see, there's definitely some junk here. That's the edge of the paper that got traced. I don't need that. There's a few dots in here that I really don't need. So all I'm gonna do is ungroup this. And now it's making little pieces of artwork out of all of that. So now I can come in and very easily just select what I don't want and delete it. Delete all these kind of little bits and pieces that came in here that got traced. And again, depending on your recipe card, like if you might have lines that you want to get rid of or other things on it just depends. Each recipe is going to be a little bit different. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit and delete some of these extra little dots that got on here. This is optional, of course, you don't have to do this, but you can. And then again, every recipe, oops, I need to undo some of that, will be different, but you can also, if you want to, did I delete the wrong dot up here by chicken? Yeah, I did. I deleted the dot on top of the eye. All right, so if you want to, you can adjust the artwork. So if like you want to bring this dot, you know, kind of closer to the eye, you could. I mean, this is totally optional. If you want to fill in some of the letters, you can take the pencil tool and connect, you know, if you want to kind of clean it up a little bit. Again, this is going to depend on each individual recipe and what you want to do. So that's completely optional. But just kind of get it to be the way you want it to look. This is looking really good. I think this is going to make a really, really nice stencil. All right, so I'm just gonna zoom out again, and then the last thing I'm gonna do is, it's, you know, she wrote on a slant. Of course, you could leave it like that if you want, but I'm gonna make the stencil so it's straight. So all I'm gonna do is select that. I'm actually gonna group this so that it nothing gets lost. And then I'm gonna hover over this corner right here and just kind of rotate it a little bit so it's a little more straight. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now at this point, you can size it up or down as much as you need, and it's not gonna lose any quality, and it's gonna print nice and dark and black. All the letters are filled in with black. They're not kind of like little pixels of black. So this would make a really nice stencil. So it's pretty easy. Again, it's really gonna depend on what kind of recipe card you're starting with. But this is definitely one option that works really well. You can just use these free online tools to create an SVG out of your recipe, and then you can make a reusable stencil out of it. So you could make a bunch of tea towels and give it as family gifts with like your grandma or whatever recipe on it. That would be super cute Christmas present idea. Of course, wood burning with torch paste looks so, I love recipes that are wood burned. Maybe that's actually what I'll do with this one. For like all these tiny little fine letters, I prefer to mirror my artwork, so you can do that right here by just flipping horizontal, and then you would just go to export and print. And make sure your settings are adjusted so that you're printing as dark as possible. Always make sure all of those settings are adjusted, and then you can just print it. It also will save it directly here in Vectr too, or you can export as or save as a SVG as well. So that was just one way on how to turn a recipe into an SVG. Pretty easy using those online tools. Of course, it's gonna really matter on what type of recipe you're starting with to begin with, but this is definitely one way to do it. So hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions or requests for artwork tutorials, please let me know in the comments. And if you found this helpful, or if you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you get notified every time we upload.